guys. I'm just gonna jump right in. I'm too excited to do a whole intro. So my friend and I got to go see an early screening of the new Wicked movie today. Comes out on November 22nd. I had already bought tickets. I gotta be honest, I'm so happy they got rid of midnight premieres. I'm an old woman now. I like to go to bed on time. And so technically on the 21st, there's a few showings. And I had bought me and my friends tickets for the 6:30 already. And I was thinking about buying tickets for like the 2 p.m. as well, because for some reason they have like a 2 p.m. and going to see it then and then going to see it again with my friends later in the day. But now I don't need to do that because I already saw it. I'm visiting my best friend in LA and we went to see a screening of it this morning. No spoilers. I will be making another video that I'll probably drop the day the movie releases where I'll go super in depth, dive into everything, and that will be the spoiler video. But for this one, until the movie comes out, we're gonna keep it spoiler free. I'm just gonna tell you about the vibes and whether or not I liked it. That's all. And I'll cut right to the chase. It was perfect. It was everything I've ever wanted it to be and more. I am so frustrated with the state of movie musicals right now. I feel like a movie musical has not come out in the last decade that feels like it was made by somebody that actually loves and respects musicals. And it's been really frustrating as a theater geek. I grew up on theater, I love musical theater, and I just feel like it's been so long since somebody has made a movie musical that is actually respectful to the art form. Personally, that's just my own opinion. But I've never been so excited to do a review, not just because it's cool that I got to see the movie early and I love Wicked. I've loved Wicked since I was in middle school. It was one of the first musicals I really fell in love with, but also just because I feel like it's so rare that I have so much positive to say. I'm such a hater. I'm a professional hater. I'm a hater for a living. That's what this channel is. And it was just, there was nothing to hate. There was nothing to hate. It met every expectation and then exceeded them by a mile and then stacked some more on top of it somehow. I don't know how it did it. I feel like so many movie musical directors specifically are very scared to lean into the more absurd side of musicals. But musicals in and of themselves are kind of an absurd medium. The characters break into song throughout the story. Like that in and of itself has an aspect of ridiculousness to it. And if you don't take that into account when you design the musical, then it ends up falling flat. And I feel like that's what keeps happening with these movie musicals that are getting made. So a bunch of them are super like artsy and grungy, and that can work, but you can't let go of the camp. You need it. You need to have a little bit of it in there, and if you don't, it just doesn't work. Just my humble opinion. But it's also true that if you lean too hard in that direction, you can completely lose all of the impact of the story. And so it's a really hard balance. A musical is not an easy medium. And I feel like if the director themselves does not truly just love and adore musicals, then it ends up not working. And I will tell you this. John M. Chu loves not only musicals, but he loves Wicked. Loves it. You could feel it bleeding through the screen. It was such an homage to the show. I would be very surprised if any fans of the show go to see it and are disappointed. It felt like he understood exactly what the fans wanted to see and then put that on screen. The respect that he paid, not just to the source material, but to the medium as a whole, just warmed my heart. As a little theater nerd, I already want to see it again. I can't believe I have to wait until the 21st to see it again. I'm kind of really upset about that, but I'll survive, I'll live. It's only a few weeks. I feel like not only did he clearly really love the musical, but so did everybody that was in it. There was not a one bad performance in this movie. Not one single person stood out. Cynthia Erivo plays Elphaba, and she is not human. And it's crazy because, like I said, everybody in this movie gave such an incredible performance. There seriously was not one single person where I was like, ooh, they should have gone with someone else. And yet, every time she started to sing, I just thought to myself, maybe she is the only person on earth that can sing. Maybe it's just her, and maybe all the rest of us are lying to ourselves. She's the only singer there is. I mean, it was just crazy. It's also crazy given the gauntlet that this show is known to be for the women that play Elphaba, how difficult it is to sing, and how casually she sang like 90% of the songs. Just, I don't know, even when you listen to Adina on the recording, and we did on the drive back to the apartment, she sounds phenomenal, right? No disrespect to Adina whatsoever. But there's still clearly more effort going into it for her than Cynthia seemed to have to put into these songs. Like, notoriously one of the most difficult parts to play on Broadway, and she just, like, it was nothing. Like it was nothing. Like it was a Tuesday. And it's so impressive because obviously I'll get to Ariana Grande in a second. You know she sounded amazing. I don't need to tell you that. But it's kind of crazy to see somebody singing next to Ariana Grande and feel like they're putting her to shame. And it felt that way. That's not hate to Ariana. That's not hate to anybody else in this movie. Everybody did an incredible job. But Cynthia was just that good. She was that good that every time she started singing, she made the other people look worse. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel like there are just some performers that are on another tier, and it's unexplainable. You can't put in words what they're able to do, and Cynthia is one of those people, and she put that ability into this role, and it was a beautiful and wonderful thing to watch. Now that's on her vocal performance. Her emotional performance was also incredible. I've seen the musical live, and it is an emotional show, don't get me wrong, but it moves a lot quicker. The movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes, I believe, and it's only the first act of the musical. I did not look up the runtime of the musical before I sat down to film, but I would be surprised if it was more than 2.5 hours total. Side note, I do agree with that choice. I saw some people were kind of upset that they split it into 2 movies. I think the tone of the first act and the tone of the second act of the show are wildly different. I'm not going to explain why until I get to the spoiler video, but I do actually think it was really smart of them to split it into 2 different movies. I don't think it was just about money. I mean, I certainly think the studio agreed to it because they knew they'd make more money. But I think there actually is an artistic basis for why you would want to split it into 2 movies. And I actually think it works really well. But by making the first act longer and stretching it into the duration of not just a movie, but a relatively long movie, they were able to dive so much deeper into some of the more emotional moments. And I felt like we as the audience were able to experience them a lot deeper. However, it didn't feel too long. We know I have ADHD, okay? I do not sit super well. And I'm a massive fan of Wicked, so maybe I'm not the best person to judge exactly this, but I felt like every single moment of this movie was so entertaining. I was hooked the whole entire time, and there was no point in it where I was like, oh, when is this thing gonna end? If anything, I wanted more. I kind of wish they just made like a 5-hour movie. I'd have sat and watched it. But I think splitting it into 2 movies worked really well. This felt like a full and complete story. It didn't feel like it cut off at a weird spot or anything. And I think because they did that, it just allowed us to connect so much more to each character and spend so much more time with them individually and get more of that emotional impact of some of the darker aspects of this story. And Cynthia's performance had so much depth to it. My best friend and I were talking in the car on the way back about how different this story felt with a person of color playing elphaba. I think there's a depth to the understanding of what it would actually feel like to be discriminated against for your skin color. Not just with the story as a whole, but especially with the dynamic between her and Glinda. I don't know, I feel like, I gotta be honest guys, I feel like I kind of need the spoilers to talk about it more in depth, so why don't we wait for the spoiler review to talk about it? All in all, I think Cynthia did an incredible job, and I cannot wait to watch part 2. Because with all of the emotion that's tied up with this part of the story, it just gets amplified to the maximum in part 2, and I cannot wait to see her performance in it. I just think it's gonna be incredible, and I cannot believe they're making us wait an entire year. Feels like a crime. Moving on to Ariana Grande. I'm sorry, you guys can never make me hate her. You can never make me hate her. I'm sorry. She was so good. I knew she was gonna sound good. She's Ariana Grande. That girl can sing her face off. But not only did she sound good, she was hilarious. We have not seen this bitch act since Victorious. I almost cannot fathom how good a job she did. She's been super open about how much this is a dream role for her. She's been dreaming of playing Galinda since she was really, really young. Wicked is her favorite musical. And you could tell, you could just feel it in her entire performance. She loves the character, she loves the story, and she put her all into it in a way that was just so enjoyable to watch. And she sounded amazing, and her and Cynthia sounded really, really good together. My friend pointed out that their voices blended together super well, where there were points where it was almost kind of hard when the both of them were singing to hear that there were 2 people singing. It almost sounded like one voice. So they blended super beautifully together, and they both sounded incredible on their own. And much like with Cynthia, I'm really looking forward to the next movie and watching Ariana sing some of the songs that Galinda sings in the second act, because they have a lot more power behind them. And that was the only part of her voice that I don't really feel like we got to see. She can get very powerful with her voice, and I don't think any of the songs in this act of the show really lend themselves to that for her. So I'm looking forward to when we get to the part of the story where she's singing in a lot more full of a voice in some of these songs in the second act. I'm really, really, really excited to see her do those. I'm so impressed. I mean, I know she's like a massive pop star, but I would like to reiterate, she has not acted since Victorious. Victorious! And she came out with this performance? Where did she get this from? She had some running bits that just like, I don't even, you gotta go see it. It was so good and it was so funny, and you guys can never make me hate her. I'm sorry I said it, and I stand by it. Next we have Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey. That is the hottest man alive. I actually cannot wait to do the spoiler review because there's something he did that was so funny, and I have to know if it was a direction or if he just did that. I might be the only person who finds it as funny as I did, but it literally was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. I was like losing my mind in the audience, like trying to calm down. I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but I feel like he captured Fiyero so well, and he's such a good singer. I know he's a West End boy, but I've never seen him in something where he's actually singing. Admittedly, I've only really seen him in Bridgerton. So I knew he could sing and I knew he could dance, but I've never actually seen him do those things. And he was really good, especially his dancing, actually. I was very, very impressed with his dancing. I'll admit I have somewhat low of expectations for men and their dancing on Broadway, I'm not gonna lie. I temper my expectations accordingly. And I feel like he exceeded them by a mile. That man knows how to dance, and I appreciated it. My only real complaint is that I wanted more of him. I know that this story is about Elphaba and Galinda, and I hate to like argue for more screen time for a man. In fact, I'm not gonna do that. Forget I said that. There was enough of him in this movie. Last specific person I'm gonna talk about is Ethan Slater, SpongeBob, if you will. All I will say is he hit one note in this, and me and my friend just kind of looked at each other and we're like, yeah, okay, fine. Okay, fine, Ariana, okay. We get it, fine. I've been harping on the performances over and over and over. I'm just repeating myself at this point. But he also was really, really good. And nobody stuck out. Nobody stuck out as being miscast, having been asked to do more than what they were able to do or anything like that. It's just everybody did such a good job. It just kind of made me aware of how long it's been since I watched a movie where I felt that way, where there wasn't something about it that felt a little bit off, be it the performances or something to do with the movie itself. And there's nothing, guys. Not even any like background characters, none of the side characters stuck out. Everybody was on their best behavior. The dancing was really fun. I appreciated all the big dancing scenes. Cinematography, check. Costumes, check. The makeup, Cynthia's makeup never in one shot ever looked like makeup. Every single scene just looked like her skin was green. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it, but it actually just looked like her skin was green in every single shot. And the ending, they staged it so dramatic and it was so good. I want to watch it again. I do. I just want to watch it again. I want to experience it a second time. All in all, I loved it. It gets a 5 out of 5 from me. I would give it more stars if I could. I was expecting it to be good because I refuse to believe that Cynthia Erivo or Ariana Grande could give a bad performance. So I knew that at the very least I was going to enjoy their performances. But I feel like I've just been so let down by movie musicals that I almost was trying not to get my hopes too up that I was going to love this, because I would be so heartbroken if I waited all this time for a Wicked movie and I didn't end up liking it that much. And I'll just go back to what I said at the beginning. In my opinion, it was perfect. There's genuinely nothing I would change about it. I think they did such a good job. I was so impressed, and I cannot wait for you guys to see it. I cannot wait for you guys to see it, and I can't wait to be able to talk about it full spoilers so that we can chat about everything. I'm so excited to hear what you guys think about it. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!